welcome to the deep dive. So you send us one of the most unexpected stacks of sources we've ever gotten. We're jumping from the basketball court to a magician's stage and then landing right in a psych lab.
And our mission today, it sounds simple, but it's really about decoding success in what is probably the most mysterious and, rewarding arena there is.
Human connection.
Human connection. How do you move from just hoping for the best in your interactions to being intentional to being masterful?
That is the puzzle. We're taking cues from the world's greatest athletes, think Kobe Bryant, and these subtle masters of attention like illusionists to find that common thread.
Yeah, and that thread runs through everything from modern dating apps to decades-long marriages.
We have data on psychological principles, ethical influence, findings on nonverbal communication proxemics, body language.
And even these huge meta-analyses on what makes relationships stable over time. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Where do we even begin?
I think we have to start with the foundational philosophy, the philosophy of subtlety.
And that means we're starting with the Mamba mentality. We usually think of Kobe Bryant's drive in terms of, winning championships. But when you apply it to connection, it's much more nuanced.
Absolutely. The Mamba mentality is, at its core, an obsession with detail. It's relentless self-improvement. It's basically professionalizing your own personal growth.
And in a relationship, that means what?
It means this intellectual commitment to focusing on the small things, understanding a partner's specific needs, their likes, and maybe even more important, their unspoken fears.
So you're treating the relationship not as some casual thing, but as a discipline, something that requires daily practice.
Right, but the sources point out that you can only really do that if you've dealt with the fear of failure first.
That's the key.
It's the essential release. Kobe famously said, I have failed before and I woke up the next morning and I'm okay. When you take that on, that a misstep in a conversation isn't doom, it's just data. You remove that paralyzing fear.
It allows you to experiment.
Exactly. And this focus on detail, it even shows up in Mamba mentality coaching. It's all about empathy. It emphasizes that how you communicate is just as important as what you're saying.
You're treating people as whole people, not just, pieces on a chessboard.
Precisely. And if we want to find the most efficient form of action, we go from the court to the dojo. Specifically, Bruce Lee's concept of Jeet Kune Do.
This is where we get the principle of non-telegraphic movement. In martial arts, it means no tells. No preparatory flinch, no big wind-up before a strike. Your actions are just direct, efficient.
Purity of action. And when we translate that to social interaction, it means avoiding the obvious performance tells.
What does that look like in real life?
Well, think about that person who pauses just a beat too long before dropping a rehearsed joke, or, that forced laugh that's just a little too loud.
They're trying too hard. You can see them reaching for the line.
Exactly. By getting rid of those telegraphs, your actions, and especially your humor, feel like they're coming from the moment. They feel genuine, not calculated. You seem relaxed because you aren't winding up for some big performance.
Short, clean, sincere emotions. That's the perfect bridge into the invisible language we're all speaking.
The nonverbal cues.
Right. For a long time, there was that myth of 90% of communication.
Yeah, that number got a little out of hand. More reliable findings put it closer to 65%.
But that 65% is still huge.
Oh, it's critical. It's the tiebreaker. When what someone says conflicts with their body language, we always trust the body.
Always. Which brings us to a huge part of this invisible language, proxemics.
The study of space. How distance influences communication.
And this is where that illusionist subtle control comes back in.
It is. So in, say, an American context, scholars talk about 4 zones of space: intimate, personal, social, and public. But the key thing to realize is that these aren't hard and fast rules. They're totally contextual.
Depends on the relationship, the culture.
Everything. And if you understand that, you can start to read mixed signals much more clearly.
Because our bodies are just surprisingly honest.
Very honest. There are 2 big tells for discomfort. The first is closed posture. Crossed arms, crossed legs. It's a literal physical barrier.
Stay away.
And the second one is what you call the exit strategy.
I've seen this. You're talking to someone, they're saying all the right things, but you notice their feet are pointed towards the door.
Their whole body is aligned to leave. They've already checked out no matter what they're saying.
But on the flip side, we can build trust non-verbally. Through synchrony.
Yes, sincere mirroring. You're subtly matching a partner's rhythm, their posture. It creates this subconscious feeling of being in flow together.
And the new research on this is just wild. They found that inducing physiological synchrony-like matching breathing patterns actually increases perceived attraction.
And then there's the discovery of super synchronizers.
Okay, what are those?
These are people who are just naturally better at synchronizing with others, no matter who they're with. And here's the kicker. They are consistently rated as more attractive.
Wait, why? What makes them more attractive? It's not magic.
No, not at all. It's because we're subconsciously drawn to competence and reliability. Better synchronizers feel more stable. They feel less chaotic. They're like a safe harbor because they adapt so effortlessly, making you feel understood without a word.
So their adaptability is fluid, not forced. It's non-telegraphic movement and action.
Exactly. Okay, so let's shift to the modern arena where all this is being put to the test. The dating landscape.
Which is a lot. The main word is burnout. Recent survey shows 78% of users report dating app burnout.
And when you look at millennials and Gen Z, it's even a little higher.
And women report feeling it more than men.
Yeah.
Right. 80% versus 74.
Yeah. It's just exhausting navigating the sheer volume of it all. And you see a split in the apps themselves. You have the more intentional ones like Match or eHarmony.
But you have to put in more effort.
Yeah, right. And then you have the lower lift entry points like Tinder and Bumble, which can lead to more volume, but also, more of that burnout.
So if everyone is exhausted, what's actually breaking through the noise? What's the new currency of attraction?
The sources are pointing to something they call career capital.
Which is not just about money.
No, it's about what the job signals. The healthcare sector completely dominates here. 29% rated it as the most attractive overall.
Why healthcare?
It signals stability, intelligence, and a capacity for caregiving. I mean, it's a perfect storm of what people look for in a long-term partner: competence and dependability.
And the gender breakdown is interesting. Men's top preference is overwhelmingly medical and mental health, 76%.
And for women, it's a bit broader. A three-way tie at 73% between finance, medical, and tech.
But it's not all about careers. The sources also mention creative display.
Right. From an evolutionary psychology perspective, things like art, music, or humor act as what's called a costly fitness indicator. It signals you have surplus intelligence and energy.
Another form of that spontaneous, non-telegraphic value.
Exactly.
Okay, but when we talk about all this, proxemics, attraction triggers, subtle control, we have to talk about the ethics. Where's the line between influence and manipulation?
That distinction is everything. Look, principles of influence like reciprocity or scarcity, they're just tools. The question is how they're used.
The danger is when they become a manipulative mask, like with love bombing.
That's when someone uses that knowledge for their own selfish control. And the key differentiator is always consistency over time. A manipulator can keep that mask on for a few months, but eventually it slips.
So how do you spot it early? The sources gave a really simple tool for this, the no test.
The no test, it's brilliant. It's about their reaction when their freedom to influence you is threatened.
So if you say no to a favor, or you set a boundary,
a genuinely kind person accepts it. Their demeanor towards you doesn't fundamentally change. Their kindness was never conditional.
But a manipulator,
they get cold, they might guilt trip you or remind you of all the nice things they've done for you. They can't handle the rejection because it was never about the favor, it was about control.
Okay, but let's be real. Isn't anyone going to be a little disappointed if you say no? How do you tell that from manipulation?
That's the nuance, right? It's what the disappointment is about. Normal disappointment is about the outcome. It's, oh, that's too bad. Now I have to figure out plan B.
That was about the task.
Exactly. But coercive control makes it about the relationship status. The reaction implies, if you really cared about me, you would have said yes. It shifts from disappointment to punishment.
That makes so much sense. So ethical influence is about supporting someone's feeling of control, not taking it away.
Which is what leads to trust. And trust is what leads to stability in the long game.
Right, and we found this massive meta-analysis, over 150,000 participants.
And the results on relationship stability are genuinely shocking.
You really are.
They found that individual differences in relationship satisfaction were highly stable over time. The correlation was 0.76. That's a huge number in social science.
Wait, so satisfaction is that stable? It sort of goes against the whole narrative that relationships are this constant roller coaster of work.
Well, it suggests that while things evolve, the baseline level of satisfaction gets established pretty early and tends to stay there. That stability comes from building a strong team identity. It's is that Mamba mentality discipline, just applied over years.
But external pressures can be one of those major shocks, like work strain.
Right, and the sources make a distinction between spillover and crossover.
Spillover is what I think of as the classic bad day at work. Your stress follows you home.
Exactly, it affects your own mood. But crossover is when the strain you experience is transmitted to your partner and it starts to drag down their satisfaction.
And there are studies on this.
Oh yeah. Longitudinal studies of newlyweds found that higher workloads for one partner predicted bigger declines in the other partner's marital satisfaction 6 months later. Your stress literally becomes their unhappiness.
Wow. And managing that means navigating all the little personality differences. One person is spontaneous, the other needs a plan. One person loves a deep, hard conversation.
And the other finds it totally draining. The key insight we found here from relationship coaches is that meeting your partner's needs doesn't have to mean sacrifice.
They actually warn against using that word.
They do, because it implies rebuilding resentment. Instead, it's about understanding each other, maybe using tools like personality assessments, and adjusting your roles for the good of the team.
And the final cornerstone for all of this stability is a skill we've touched on but need to name: active listening.
It sounds so simple, eye contact, nodding, but it's about deep engagement, responding with verbal and nonverbal cues that show you genuinely care.
It's the difference between waiting for your turn to talk and actually trying to understand.
Creating a safe space for vulnerability. And the studies confirm it. People who feel actively listened to report feeling significantly more understood. That security is everything for long-term stability.
So if we pull this all together, what does this whole deep dive mean for you?
I mean, mastery in connection, it's not about some grand gesture or having a magic ability.
It's not about learning an illusionist's tricks. It's a combination of athletic discipline, that Mamba mentality and kinetic precision, that non-telegraphic movement, all applied to your social strategy.
Right. You gain leverage not by manipulating, but by leveraging knowledge, knowing when to lean in, and also knowing when to recede.
That moment of recession. Yeah. One source called it the proxemic fadeaway.
I love that.
You subtly pull back, create a little space, and you make the other person feel safe enough to step into it. You use space to draw them in.
But the whole strategy, it has to be grounded in genuine consent and attunement. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought.
We've seen that these high-status archetypes coaches, doctors, succeed by signaling competence and care. But if the ultimate goal of non-telegraphic movement is true, genuine spontaneity,
does constantly analyzing kinesics, mapping out proxemic zones, and optimizing all your attraction data, does it risk turning every genuine interaction back into a scripted, predictable performance tell?
And in doing so, do you end up undermining the very effortless magnetism you were trying to cultivate in the first place? Something to mull over.